Get that stupid song stuck in my head. But that's the only part I know, so that's on repeat in my brain.
I have the till the sun comes up on a Santa Monica Boulevard. That's the part that's on repeat in my head.
Super random, but let me know. I've been getting bad nosebleeds because of the heat.
Ew.
Not bad, but if it's suddenly...
About you, I mean, sorry. Also, I just realized you trimmed your beard.
Yeah.
Looks good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But let me know, because I don't ever feel it until it gets on my shirt, like, and it stains it, Like, I woke up today, and I was just, like, walking around, and I was like, So, but yeah, Tears of the Kingdom.
Tears of the blood, nose.
Okay.
Nope.
Pretty good, gotta say. It's real...
I found my first memory.
Oh, they're still doing that?
Yeah, but instead of it being like a picture thing that you have to do, you're finding Tears of the Dragons. Yeah.
Did I tell you that someone came into work and actually had worked on it? I can't remember.
Yeah, you told me that. Yeah.
But they thanked me for playing it.
No. Another reason why I think it would be, I recommend you to explore outside of that first, just like area from the tower, because when you run into Impa, then that unlocks the search for the stuff that's like spacecraft. What is it? Corn. What is it when like circles? Like crop circles. Yeah, but it's not like crops. It's like there's an actual like image like imprinted on the grass and in the world, and you have to, like, you launch up on an air balloon with Impa, and you see it, and then you like look at it, and like as you're like falling, and you try to find where like the tier is, and then you got to go find that, and then you unlock a memory of like what's happening to Zelda right now.
Okay, you don't have to spoil it. I mean, you can tell me off mic, but maybe not for on here in case. Those little tree spirit guys, the little masks. Koroks, yeah. See, I'm still learning the terminology. Mm-hmm. The Koroks, is it actually worth finding a lot of them?
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
Because that unlocks... No, it's not. It's what they did in Breath of the Wild.
Oh, okay.
No, so the more seeds you find, then you finally find Hetsu, and then he expands your inventory for weapons and aren't like shields, and like it's just like you're holding of everything.
Oh, okay, so definitely worth it.
Yeah, you want to find the Korok seeds.
Okay, I mean, I do. I also have fun in it. There's like this. I lost my friend. I'm like, oh no, let me help you. It really gets me for some reason.
Oh, I'll help you, man.
Yeah, it's also
guy. It's buddy.
It's fun because it does. It really plays with the building mechanics of how to get them over to their friend.
Oh, I lost my friend. Oh. It's like Whitey.
Oh yeah, but yeah, like it really makes me like play around with the building mechanic. Like I made a little car.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And threw him on the car and hit the thing, and he went boom. And he's like, ah! But yeah.
But yeah, you could know the Korok seeds. Yeah.
All right. I planned on it, but I do not like that they brought the like ninja assassin people back.
Oh, the
clan,
Yiga clan,
something like that. Yeah, I always hated that. I hated that in Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, you're really not gonna like it in Calamity Heroes if you play that.
Is that a thing?
They're like one of the main enemies.
Oh, really? Do they do that like pop up like out of nowhere thing?
Yeah, but it's like more like Dynasty Warriors, so it's a little bit. It's a little bit easier of combat.
No, it's like you're just trying to walk down the street and have a nice conversation, and you're just like.
No, I fucking hate it when it's like, you run into somebody and they're like, hey, have you heard of the Yiga clan? And you're like, God damn it.
It's like, it's the dragons in Skyrim. You're like, I don't want to deal with this right now.
Yeah.
Like, I just want to pop around. Like I'm heading over here to look at this cool thing.
But then it wouldn't be an adventure.
Ugh, so annoying. Anyways, let's get into it. That was longer than I expected it to be. Yeah. This is Tommy.
This is Jacob.
This is Tommy and Jacob's mixtape. Turn my head to the chemical freeway, coming up on overload.
Is that one of the songs?
It's the very first one, Cosmic Castaway. I have that on my Spotify. I really like that song.
Okay. I wanted to like remember that like the final song when there's like it's Second Earth is Made, Planet Bob.
This is like 2000 soundtrack.
Dude, I know.
It's awesome.
It's like the Fifth Element almost.
It's awesome. Yeah. It's really cool. Sorry. Yes. Thank you for everybody. Welcome back.
Yes.
To episode 138.
138. That's a number.
We are doing our animated space opera block with the concept of a movie I've seen and Jacob hasn't, and vice versa.
I've seen this.
I thought you didn't.
I just didn't remember it.
You didn't, okay, it had been long enough that it was okay. One of my favorites growing up, Titan A.E.
Yeah. I don't know if I would consider I wanted to look this up. The definition of truly what a space opera was, because I don't know if this is technically a space opera as more of a sci-fi adventure. I just don't.
Okay, a novel, movie, or television program set in outer space, typically or of a simplistic and melodramatic nature.
That's space opera?
Mm-hmm. That is the definition of a space opera.
So, yeah, I guess this kind of could fit in that.
But
this isn't super melodramatic. Like, Star Chaser is kind of melodramatic. You know, it's like with, like, the destiny of the lore of the people, blah, 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 blah. And then like Star Wars kind of has that as well, you know, like the Force and the love, or
well,
it's like this. I mean,
characteristics of melodrama, especially being exaggerated, sensationalized, or over emotional. Well, I was gonna say though, with this too, you have this overarching kind of existential crisis of the human beings being endangered, basically, and what's gonna happen with that.
Mm-hmm.
That's a kind of an interesting point too.
They're like on the point of extinction.
Yeah,
actually, you want really quick. You want to give a synopsis of what this movie is?
Oh yeah. Endangered humans must find a planet-creating spaceship to save humanity.
Yeah,
and that's really we have basically been hunted to the point of extinction by the dredge, which is like a energy-based. I don't know. They kind of gave me like a Borg kind of vibe. Like,
what were the bad guys in Halo called?
Well, he was the Harbinger, the Covenant, I think. I can't remember actually. Man, it's been a while since I played.
Never played Halo, but for some weird reason, they kind of reminded me of the Halo villains, alien creatures.
Yeah, they're not really. Yeah, I mean, because then also you have the Flood, which is another species that you have to fight, but they're very. The Flood are just like a parasitic. What is that face?
I'm just looking at them like I have no idea what he's talking about.
The Flood is they're like a parasitic kind of organism that just they consume. You know, they just want to.
You know what I just realized? I've played maybe a total of like an hour and a half of Halo my entire life.
I think you could really get into the lore of Halo.
Probably,
I
yeah.
think you really could.
Yeah.
I mean, there's like novels and stuff about it too. So.
Oh shit. Anywho,
you don't have to play them; you could just read them.
But yeah, so I guess this space opera ish. I don't think it has like the same melodramatic tones that like what Star Wars does, or even like what Star Chaser did.
I think it's a space adventure.
Yeah. But yeah, and it came out. Did we already say that it came out?
Not yet. June 16th, 2000.
16th. Okay. I have 13th, and I don't know why.
16th, yeah.
I think that was just the first date I saw on IMDb, but that's fine.
Came out in June 2000.
Yeah, June 2000. What was the last movie that we did? I can't remember. Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
How many movies did you have or how many movies did you have this week? For 2000?
So I had 51, and now I have 56.
And I ended on 51.
Oh.
And I had 50 before.
Oh, okay. And
so I think there was one. Actually, I think I know exactly what movie I looked at, and I was like, "Oh, I didn't count that one last time."
I had two. I can't remember what it was either, but I remember like kind of overlooking it, and then wait a minute, no, I know that movie. I watched that a lot as a kid, or yeah. Like no, I definitely had seen.
Mine was a really bad raunchy comedy with Amanda Peet dating three friends to pretty much like shove it because they were both like three assholes type thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
like torturing them. By
dating. Like she like. Puts them into like
Amanda
awkward.
Peet.
Amanda Peet, yeah.
Yeah, what happened to Amanda Peet?
She started doing television, I want to say.
And a whole 9 yards, right?
That's yeah. Saving Silverman.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had the right person.
This movie has a weird history to it.
It is very weird. So I think to start off, so this is 20th Century Fox before they were acquired by Disney.
20th, it's a Fox Animation Studios to be specific.
Yes, it is their animation department,
which only had 3 movies come out of it.
What were they?
Anastasia,
which was that is, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Bartok.
Oh, Bartok the Magnificent, which is really funny.
And then this movie sunk it.
But like, yeah, so yeah, this is before the acquisition by Disney, and there were basically Fox was kind of trying with their studio to try and be a competitor to Disney.
Yeah.
But this is also in the era, like 2000 and back to, this is the era where there's a lot of really great animated movies that came out that weren't Disney that kind of like get forgotten about because it's fucking Disney, you know?
And
like,
guess who fucking made almost all of these goddamn movies? These two guys.
Yeah. Like so our director and animation heads at the time of Fox Animation Studios is Don Bluth and Gary Goldman.
Yeah.
Which are like OG
Disney people,
but even then they just are just huge animators that have done a lot of stuff.
So in 1979, they both left Disney due to creative differences.
Yeah.
And it was actually a huge thing in like headlines, and they were called like Disney. What was it? Let me find Gary's thing. Like Disney, like they were like pretty much like people were like, how could you turn your back on Disney type thing?
Yeah.
Like they were Disney deniers or some weird fucking thing like that is what it was called. But yeah, they like, and then they started their own animation studio. Well, there was like more Bluth company, and there was there was a third person as well. And I'm forgetting his name. But yeah, so like, Don Bluth, and Gary Goldman, you know, they did fucking Secret of NIMH.
Well, I just want to like real quick go through some of their like titles.
Yeah, Secret of NIMH.
Yeah, well, Pete's Dragon, Secret of NIMH, Dragon's Lair the video game, American Tail, Rockadoodle, Thumbelina, Troll in Central Park, Pebble and the Penguin, Anastasia, Land Before Time.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, there's a lot of like really good shit that they were.
I mean, so Pete's
in.
Dragon was Disney.
Well, I'm just saying, like, just these are like, especially the reason I bring them up is because I had forgotten about a lot of these really great animated movies, like Pebble and the Penguin, Rockadoodle's sick. But yeah, All Dogs Go to Heaven, you know.
Wait, I think I found what I was trying to look for.
But Gary Goldman became more of like a producer a lot of the time.
Yeah, here we go. So yeah, Goldman was a lot more of a producer. Bluth they were both animators, but eventually once they opened their own animation studio, they like had like people doing like their style of animation for them thing. But yeah, so this was what I was looking for. Because I made a note of where it was. Look at me. Goldman, along with Bluth and Pomeroy, who was the third person to defect. Oh yeah, Disney Defectors was what they were being called, and they went and started Don Bluth Productions in 1979. Yeah, dubbed as Disney Defectors, right? Which I just think is really. It's interesting for it to be just like how big like
it has this.
It's like a scandal.
Yeah, it has this kind of like Better Dead Than Red kind of feel to it.
Yeah,
you know, like this kind of mob mentality kind of thing.
And then so like it wasn't until and then 20th Century Fox, they wanted to have a animation studio in competition with Disney.
Yeah.
And so they started Fox Animation Studios, which I thought was always kind of more of like umbrella of like even like Fox Kids Network, because there was so much like animated stuff there, but also where is it? One of our writers in here is there's reason for that as well. Also, the writers list, you see a bunch of them worked for Fox, like 20th Century Fox, and we'll get into that in a second.
Well, yeah, and also going into this movie too, like that's we were kind of talking about off mic, but it's like so this was in some kind of stasis of production since '97, with the idea that it was going to be a live action movie.
Yeah.
$30 million later with no progress, they then gave it to Bluth and Goldman, who basically, they were like, you need to do this or you have to do layoffs.
Yeah.
10 days after the release, 300 people were laid off, and it was basically dissolved, the animation studio.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it's like, so... what I have,
but how do you spend from 97 to 2000? How do you spend $30 million and no progress? I
mean, so to go into that, because During production of Titan A.E., Fox Animation Studios suffered a number of cutbacks, which ultimately led to its closure in 2000. Over 300 animation staff were laid off from the studio. This is also a direct result of why Titan A.E. failed.
Oh, yeah.
Much of the film's animation was outsourced to a number of independent companies. So they didn't even have like the budget or like the time to actually like finish this movie properly with Fox Animation Studios and Don Bluth's company.
I think one of the companies was Blue Sky Studios.
Yes.
Which did
Ice Age and Rio.
Yeah, Ice Age.
And then they
went out of business too, didn't they?
Recently.
Yeah, in the last couple of years, I think they went out of business.
Yeah.
That's a bummer.
This ends with saying, like, under pressure from executives, Bill McCormick, who was the then chairman of 20th Century Fox, Bill McCormick was dismissed from 20th Century Fox prior to Titan A.E.'s release, eventuating in the closure of Fox Animation Studios on June 26th. So, literally, Bill McCormick's mishandling of properties and whatnot, and this one specifically, led to him to be dismissed. So, like, Bill McCormick is kind of, like, probably the main reason why this movie didn't do so good. And, like you were saying, like, what are they doing with this? Like, Bill McCormick is just...
poorly managing the property.
Yeah, he's being a bad chairman, you know?
Yeah.
Because off the success of Anastasia that Bluth and Goldman both did with Fox Animation Studios, it's like this, it would make sense. Like, yeah, they wanted to do this like live action film for this movie, but it was like, it's such a big project. Like, the world that's like written in this movie, it's like in 2000, I don't know how well they could have like actually did that without it looking like hokey.
Well, yeah, and it's also like with Anastasia, though, this is a huge departure just from like a writing standpoint.
Well, yeah. Well, this is like one of the first things I think that they weren't involved in like writing. Like Anastasia.
It seems that, yeah, they were just kind of forced almost at like a gunpoint to like, you need to do this or else, you know?
Yeah.
And it's just kind of a bummer that it ended up happening anyways.
Yeah. Because, Anastasia. Okay, no, they didn't write Anastasia. Just checking that really quick before.
Who is Anastasia? Meg Ryan.
Yeah.
And John Cusack.
Yeah. But yeah, but I mean, Anastasia was a lot more of like a family friendly, almost Disney type thing.
I was like, it's really on par with a Disney movie.
Yeah, it's very on par with, even like with what they do with like All Dogs Go to Heaven, An American Tale. Fucking Land Before Time, The Secret of NIMH. Secret of NIMH is a little bit darker for, stuff.
Secret of NIMH's a departure.
Thumbelina, Rockadoodle, like these are all like, you look at what they've done, like this is actually very different from what anything they had ever done.
Yeah.
And I feel like you kind of see that actually in the
execution of
execution and final product.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll kind of get into that, but like really quick, let's just like run through the writers.
There's a lot. I'm sorry, and it was in development since 98, not 97.
Yeah. So really quick, there's just two people that are like put down as like story credited, and they don't really have much of anything else. Hans Bauer and Randall McCormick, whoever the fuck you guys are.
Hans Bauer did like Anaconda.
Yeah. Story for Anaconda or something.
Yeah, Story for Anaconda. Randall McCormick did Speed 2, Scorpion King 2 and 3.
Yeah, could you imagine? He's just like, hey, you know that movie? Let's do a sequel on it.
He's the sequel guy. Crush 2.
Yeah.
Blue Crush 2.
He's like, so what if they're surfing again?
Yeah, like he's like the sequel person.
But we're going to follow the sister this time. And
then for screenplay, we had Ben
Edlund,
who was and again, it's like I couldn't really figure out who did what exactly, but this is just the people that are credited. He is creator of The Tick.
Yeah, I was like, he created The Tick, that was a Fox animation, Fox animated show.
If you don't know, The Tick is literally a superhero that just looks like a tick.
Boon!
Because the first one is, what's his name?
Patrick Warburton?
Yeah.
I mean, he was the first live action.
Yeah, and then they just redid it a couple years ago.
Yeah, on Amazon.
It's not bad, actually. It's pretty funny.
I watched the first couple episodes. I did like it. It was very interesting.
Also a writer on shows like Firefly, Angel, Venture Brothers. Dr. Horrible, Clone Wars, and Gotham. Like, I just wanted to...
Yeah. John August, another writer I saw, he's done a lot of Tim Burton stuff. A handful of Tim Burton stuff.
Big Fish, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Corpse Bride, Dark Shadows. More recently, the Aladdin remake.
Yep, saw that. And then the one that his first one was a movie that I really like called Go.
Yeah, it looks familiar, but I don't think I've seen it.
I was actually thinking about like how can we needed like a drug fused movie. That's a good one.
Okay.
And then
Joss Whedon,
which it's really funny because I see Joss Whedon and then I saw Edlund with Firefly. I was like, okay, so like we honestly, I'm like watching this movie. I'm like, oh, so this is where Firefly came from.
Oh, like they took this and then it's like there's your live action Titan A.E.
Yep.
I didn't know that Joss Whedon wrote Cabin in the Woods. I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's interesting. Joss Whedon, Avengers.
Yeah. Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Firefly. The movie, the original movie.
And the show. He was a showrunner.
Oh, was he? I
didn't
know that.
Yeah, and very tumultuous. Yeah. He's a problematic person, actually.
Yeah, I know. I've read some stuff about him.
As I was doing a little bit of research, I didn't know this, but apparently his ex-wife wrote a 15-page essay about his manipulation using feminism and stuff. Oh, I was like, oh,
okay,
oh, good old Joss Whedon. One of my old friends, they always, when this was all coming out, their jokes like, "You were the chosen one."
But also it's kind of interesting with this film too, the fact that like animation wise, they were trying some pretty interesting things, but that also made the budget balloon.
Yeah.
So it went from 30 initially when they were trying to do a live action thing, and then it went from that to 75 to 90 million.
Yeah. And it only made what, 34 million?
Yeah, something like 36
in theater. So it's a huge commercial failure. And like, yes, they were really trying to mix this like, which is kind of the opposite of what Bluth and Goldman were all about. Their whole thing was like they wanted to start originally when they like started doing their animation studio in the 80s, they wanted to focus on like what was the old school of like hand-drawn animation stuff.
Yeah.
You know, and
well, real quick, let's also give them the for anyone who hasn't seen this, the visual is all the characters are drawn, but then a lot of the backdrops and set pieces are computer generated.
That's exactly what I was just about to say.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a blend between hand-drawn animation and computer generated images, and
I think it gives it a really cool look though.
I think it makes
I really like it. I really think it's cool.
Yeah, especially the dredge, they look horrendous.
The dredge look terrible, but I mean, I'd like the everything but that.
Yeah.
I really do. I don't know. There's something about it that it just has this really... I think it's because it's really distinct.
I think it might be also a nostalgia feel for you.
Oh, 100%.
Because it does not look good, in my opinion. I think it makes everything just kind of like...
Yeah, I don't know. But even then, I was watching it with this, that we're going to review it thing.
Yeah.
I still liked it.
There was like a moment where like Goon is like... at like some controls, and it's like they did this like really cool animation thing where like it was like the camera was sweeping around him, but like since he was like clearly a hand-drawn object or hand-drawn character, and that everything else around him was like some type of computer generated, it just looked like it almost like the best way that I can like put it into like a parallel is like it looked like a puppet moving in a world that it didn't belong in.
There are definitely moments of movement with the characters in that kind of like 3D computer generated space that look a little like jerky.
Yeah.
They don't look like, it doesn't feel fluid.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm talking about.
But I still like there's just certain, I think there's just certain scenes that I like really.
Well, there are certain scenes, like some of the computer generated scenes are really awesome and beautiful. Like the whole like dancing with the angels, like that entire spaceship scene, that was really beautiful. Weird, just inserted like moment that I don't feel like served any purpose to the story, but
I think it was to solidify the father-son relationship.
That Corso's
thing.
just gonna break in the next couple.
In the next
10
minutes. Yeah, the Corso. I think that's what the idea was.
I mean, that's fair.
And also probably to like flex that they wanted to put that in there to flex what they were doing with the CG.
I mean, it's kind of like you're like in a musical, just like you have that one song that's just like we're just gonna show off the dancing or whatever.
Yeah.
You know?
I think that's what that was, and it's a cool scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's interesting. I get you. I get why you like it, and I get the nostalgia thing. But I was really looking at it from like objectively. Do I like this style of animation? I was like, yeah, I still really do. I like this combo for some reason. I don't know why.
I don't think it was blended well enough, and I think that is just due to
the time and
the problem with what happened with during the
then also having
losing 300 animators
and having so many studios involved.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's what it is. I can see what they were trying to do.
Yeah,
and I appreciate it. And it's a little clunky, but I think it's like I get A for effort. Like, yeah, you tried. You know, like you really gave it a good
You were
try.
almost there.
You were almost there.
And then just someone had come up and pull the rug out from underneath you, and you just kind of had to throw something out into the public. Yeah, let's really quick just go through the starring voice actors.
It's kind of crazy, actually. This cast is kind of bananas, like actually. So we have our lead, which is our hero of the film, Matt Damon plays Kale. Mm-hmm. Matt Damon, I don't know.
Matt Damon,
Good Will Hunting, Departed, the Bourne series, the Ocean series, and
have we talked about Matt Damon before?
I don't think so. I mean, I'm sure he's come up, but I don't think we've done a Matt Damon movie. And Euro Trip.
Yeah.
He has one of the, I don't know.
Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah, he's got a pretty good career of weird cameos.
He does, actually. Yeah.
Scotty doesn't know.
That's why I feel like we've talked about him before.
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm sure he's come up.
No, like in a list. Like I feel like because I was like I remember just like doing only cameos for an actor, and I can't remember who it was.
I mean, it could have been
Ben Affleck.
I was gonna say Brad Pitt from Deadpool, but he doesn't really do a lot of them, right?
Ben Affleck.
I mean,
Bert would say.
Ben Affleck. But yeah, Matt Damon. And then our second lead is probably Drew Barrymore.
Yes,
who plays Akima. More currently, she has a TV show, like a talk show. But 50 First Dates, Never Been Kissed, Ever After.
Child actor since age 5.
Firestarter. E.T.
Yeah. A little bit of like this is before the addressing of whitewashing in Hollywood type stuff because she does a voice and an Asian. I don't want to say would be Asian American because America doesn't exist anymore. Asian space.
Yeah, like her character definitely looks very Asian.
Well, even like when they go to that first when they go to the what are they called? The drifter colonies.
Yeah.
It's an Asian colony.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is before.
Mm-hmm. And also, I feel like honestly, out of like the voice actors in this, she like was the best.
She was the best one.
Yeah.
Like honestly, she also just has a really great quality to her voice.
She does.
And she was the one that I actually felt like, I don't want to say they phoned it in, but it's like, it was just Matt Damon.
No, I feel like she actually like her voice matched more of like Akima's kind of actions and like demeanor,
like her rugged kind of like badass.
Yeah,
because she was a cool character.
Yeah, it's I feel like Drew Barrymore actually watched the animation and acted it with what was happening.
Yeah,
while everyone else just kind of like
we're too cool for school to do any research.
Yeah, maybe not that.
I don't know. Anyways. But yeah, I will agree with you that I think Drew Barrymore actually did probably one of the best performances for this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I'll say Bill Pullman, who is Corso, the captain. Bill Pullman, he recently passed away, right? No, but I'm thinking Bill Paxton.
You're thinking of Paxton, yeah. And even that was a while ago, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Bill Pullman, the president, Independence Day, the dad in Casper.
Yeah.
Spaceballs, which I thought was funny. He's the Han Solo character in that satire movie.
And then I got Nathan Lane really quick for Preed, who we're going to be talking about next week. So let's not worry about.
Nathan Lane was pretty great, actually, too.
No, yeah, he was.
He was really great.
It's great to see him as a villain. You never get to see him as a villain.
Yeah, he just has his voice and also his character design, you know?
Yeah.
He was just a really good...
The alien designs in this movie were really cool.
They're really cool. But yeah, Nathan Lane was really great. And we are going to be doing him coming up soon, so we'll talk about him more later.
And then Janeane Garofalo, Stith, the weapons expert.
She was funny.
She's funny. Yeah.
She's a little bit like the comic. Preed, I will kill you. I swear to God, I will kill you.
Yeah.
It was pretty... I am not a mechanic.
John Leguizamo, Goon.
Yeah. And he that's actually
he's a wonderful just character actor.
Yeah, he's also that's we kind of talking about with Spawn and everything.
Yeah.
He is Goon in this. He also is really great, like up there with Drew Barrymore. He felt like Goon. Why they not say bye to Goon? You know, you should really feel for him, and he's really cute. But yeah, he's a really great just character actor.
Yeah. And then I have just really quick Ron Pearlman, who plays Kale's dad, Sam Tucker.
Oh, honorable mention, Ron Pearlman. Yeah. I put Tone Locke, who plays Trek, who's like his
caretaker.
Kale's
caretaker.
Yeah.
I'd also just for actual voice actors that were in this, just to give them like their good recognition. Jim Cummings.
Yes.
Who does the voice of Tigger, Winnie the Pooh, and Tasmanian Devil.
I heard Tigger. I was like, who the fuck is Tigger in this movie?
T.I. double go. I
was like,
like in this movie, he's just kind of like an additional voice here and there.
Yeah, I mean, Jim Cummings has been doing that for.
Same with Roger L. Jackson, additional voices with this, and then he's the voice of Ghostface and Mojo Jojo.
Oh, he is.
Which I thought that was actually really cool. But I was like, Ghostface and Mojo Jojo, the same person. Cool.
That's really cool.
And also, never really knew who did the voice of, because there's so much manipulation put onto that Ghostface voice. But
well, it's also like with this cast too. It was really fun to watch it, and because I saw this so many times as a kid, but now as an adult, being like, is that fucking Nathan Lane?
Yeah, right.
It's like, that's totally Nathan Lane. And he's just like this sleazy, always hitting on her. Like,
I didn't think he was always hitting on her.
That's their first interaction. Akima, I must have you. And he goes to like lick her hand. You positively glowing, I must have you. You don't.
Yeah, but then I don't know. It never then kind of happened again in a weird way. I don't know.
It's just he came in real hot with their first interaction.
He did.
You see,
and then I never saw that happen again.
Well, yeah, because he's trying to murder all of them.
Yeah. Anywho, that took a little bit longer to get through all that. So let's get into your reviews, actually.
Okay.
Really quick. So what we got on IMDb, it has 6.6 on IMDb, and Rotten Tomatoes got a 50 tomato meter reading and a 61 audience score.
All right. On Metacritic for the critic scores, we have 10 positive, 15 mixed, and 5 negative. For positive, I picked 80 out of 100, Michael Wilmington at the Chicago Tribune, a modern digitalized Lollapalooza concocted out of old-fashioned slam-bang space opera elements. And it's like, yeah, I feel like you were kind of saying, it's like, all right,
yeah,
space time. Here you go.
Space time.
Here you go. Space time.
Hello, Steve.
Tell me what you want. Pizza. Hi, Steve. 60 out of 100 at TV Guide magazine. Steve Simmels. Not only one of the most spectacular cartoons ever made, but also a reasonably adult piece of sci-fi.
Okay. Give me something bad.
Yeah, I'm trying to. What did I pick? 30 out of 100.
Ooh.
Where are you? Lawrence Topman at the Charlotte Observer. Visually compelling, relentlessly loud, and so shallow you need just a fragment of your brain to follow it.
Yeah, okay. I feel like you can you can just kind of like tune in at any point and just be like, oh, that's what's happening. Okay, cool.
Yeah, I mean the story is pretty sci-fi generic.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess we can kind of just let's start and then we'll get into it. Did you like this?
Yeah.
As he squeezes the bridge of his nose.
Yeah.
It was.
I mean, I had I It's like, because like, yeah, I enjoyed it, but I don't think it was it's that good actually. And I think I just enjoyed it just because of like, of what it. I don't know. It's like I've never felt so weird about a movie, because like the biggest issues that I guess like all I can really think about is like the things that I had issues with, and then like it's hard for me to like find things that I actually enjoyed. Like things that I enjoyed definitely was like Drew Barrymore's performance, John's performance as Goon, and then like I liked the idea of terraforming a new planet and this whole like the humans are on the verge of extinction, and the idea of the story, but I don't think the story was executed in a very good way. I felt like the villains were very one note, very like, why is it only the humans the Dredge care about exterminating?
All these advanced civilizations. Yeah. I was brushing my teeth today, getting ready to come down here, and I found actually watched this.
Yeah.
And she actually enjoyed it, which I was very surprised by. But I was just like brushing my teeth, and I was just like, I know they said it, but I don't really get why the Dredge have an issue with humanity. Like all they say is they're like worried about our potential.
There's a threat that of their potential, and the Dredge just want to extinct. It's a very generic, one note, very like, these are the bad guys because they don't like them.
Yeah. Like I agree with that, because even then it's like. And like I was saying, there's this kind of like note that makes me think of the Borg, but even the Borg are actually very interesting because they're cybernetic. They want to assimilate. The Dredge just want to blow them up.
Well, the Borg want to assimilate, and the Borg also like their hunger for like especially the Borg leader. Like she's all about like trying to get them to actually experience human nature again.
Yeah,
like they were humans and they've lost that. Now they're just So. Like the Dredge, they seem like a hodgepodge of ideas of villains that are just there. There's a fucking term for it, and I can't remember, like a literary term that I'm just drawing a blank on just like the mustache twirling villain type thing, and they're just not very interesting. And even like how Kale like figures out how to escape their stuff is just such a like.
Oh, using like his own biometric, using his own biometric energy or whatever.
Because like they're energy-based beings, which is an interesting idea, but like the movie just starts off like, and the Dredge are now destroying planet Earth and what it is like the humans have they've discovered how to terraform a planet, which is insane.
Especially how quickly they can do it.
Yeah.
Which, like,
which I could see like I could see like civilizations being like, that's bad. That's like nuclear power. It's like when we discover the atom bomb type shit,
That's a good point. Yeah, I think it's also like with the writing with the Dredge, it's like you should have honestly, I feel like that was your way to be like different with your villain. You should have gone more of a generic route with your villain.
Well, and a big thing I kind of want to say is like, I really feel like when it comes to the script for this, I don't think, because through all of these writers, there was one other writer that wasn't credited. Where is his name?
Tony. Is that who you're talking about?
Art Vitello.
Art Vitello, yeah.
Yeah, so like, and it says here in the development that the script had been passed around to various writers such as Ben Edlund, Joss Whedon, who they together wrote on Firefly, Joss Whedon creator, and Art Vitello, who doesn't even have like a Wikipedia page. And then after $30 million had been spent to film no progress, Art Vitello was sacked. And then the then chairman, Bill Mechanic, gave it to Fox Animation Studios creative heads, Bluth and Goldman. And then there's no talk about who was like writing with
who's
them.
Actually, yeah.
So we don't know if like Bluth and Goldman tried to like change some aspects of the script to make it more of like what they wanted. Also, I can't tell if this movie's trying to be for kids or for adults or teenagers.
I think it's a middle. I think it's like a young adult.
Yeah, but there's moments where it leans super hard into like that classic Bluth Goldman for kids, And then
like what? Like off the top of your head?
When the cook gets blown up by the dredge, and then it's like teeth pop out, and it's like, oh, good shot.
Okay.
You know,
bullseye.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jim Brewer, by the way, comedian.
Oh, is that who it is?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know.
And then you have like these really like adult moment of like the chase scene just recently after that, where like Kale's getting shot and there's actual blood. Well, it's the only blood, I guess, in the entire movie. Human blood, really.
No.
Oh, no, and then Corso at the end, yeah.
Yeah. And I think Akima, when she gets shot, there's a little bit of blood.
That's right, yeah.
So it's like 3.
Yeah, and then and then just, I don't know, just like the story just feels more adult in a weird way because of like how the dredge is handled. I don't know. It's just like, I don't feel like there's this movie's identity is just kind of in the air in a big way.
I really think that like a really big thing that should have happened is like really like the villains. Like, I liked what you said about these people can now create. We have this civilization now can make full planets.
Yes.
They need to be taken care of before they start making planets that they're going to pop. You know what I mean? Like, if that, and they don't really, and I guess you could kind of like eat the carrot and be like, oh, that's what the threat is.
Yeah.
But it's like not really explained, and it's just not like interesting. You have like this whole big warlord one, you know.
Oh, like
the leader.
queen.
Yeah, the queen of the hive. And it, you know, it's kill them, you know, and it's like, well, okay, so are these like a hive mind? So are these like these foot soldiers, are they an extension of you? Do they have their own identity? It's just, they're not interesting. And that's, I think, a lot of times, especially
they're not flushed out. Yeah.
Yeah. With sci-fi, a huge factor is your villain.
Yeah.
Like, and you think of any great sci-fi that comes out, like Dune. Like the villain, the what is his name?
Oh, I can't.
The Count or whatever. Yeah. He's great. The Duke. Yeah, the Duke. Oh no, the Baron.
The Baron.
Yeah.
The King. The Captain. Captain Hook.
Yeah,
it's Captain Hook.
You know, and Darth Vader, and you know,
I like mud.
I like mud.
Anywho, sorry. But yeah, no, you're 100% right. Yeah, it's just, and especially like if like sci-fi generally is supposed to be kind of like this whole thing of like man versus like futuristic elements, you know?
Yeah,
like,
man versus machine, man versus yeah.
You know, unknown force. Yeah.
What I was going to say about that too is like I said Darth Vader, but even like for the original trilogy, like Darth Vader, part of his thing is the mystery of what is he, who's under the mask. So it's like you have to go one or two ways. You need to have a flushed out kind of thing that is really clear about what their intent is, or you need to have the shroud of mystery, and this is just kind of like neither.
No, because there's just nothing.
There's nothing there.
It's just the dredge, and then you find out,
and they're bad guys
halfway through the film that they're energy-based beings, and that they want to kill the human race. Yeah, you just like, oh no, they want to exterminate the human race because humans
are bad,
have a potential.
Yeah,
you know. And then the human, it's just like, it's so flat and one-noted. And then within that, you have Kale his entire like character trope of being the kid who is destined for something more. You know, he's almost a Luke Skywalker.
Yeah, but it's kind of more on this fact. It's like, it's really only because of who his dad is.
Yeah, so like he's been given,
I guess, which is also Luke's.
Yeah. He's been given this object. He has the object of importance, you know, that,
which is the ring.
It's the hidden gem that unlocks the map. That, you know, this is from fantasy stories, like pirate stories and stuff, you know, and essentially all Kale is a map.
Yeah,
like. And then his genetic DNA is the most like
his genetic DNA is what unlocks him.
He is the map and the key, like
to
saving the human race. So he then becomes the chosen one, and then he's reluctant. I don't want to be there. I don't want to. Humans suck. There, all these drifter colony people. And then he has a change of heart because he falls in love with Akima. Although I feel like with Al will get. Strangely, I was thinking about this.
I'm very curious about this.
since the human race is on the point of extinction.
It's the Walking Dead thing.
Yeah.
It's like there's no one else around.
Yeah.
So and also they're young.
Hey, you're hot. I'm hot.
They're young. It kind of like I was thinking.
Can
about
I get
that
my
too.
pants, please? Like I love how he's like, and I. She's like rubbing his hand. He's like, and I could really use those pants right now.
I did. I liked that we kind of had the same. I was like, God, this is stupid. But even then, too, it's like they have that one interaction where they hug and they're really because it's like and then they're awkward about it. So it's like okay, and it really is. It's the we survived apocalypse thing.
It's the Adam and Eve. It's an Adam and Eve trope.
And you're like, they're both young, they're both hot. There's no one else around.
Yeah.
So they're gonna, yeah. Stuff.
They're gonna touch things.
They're gonna stuff.
They're gonna touch hands together. Patty cake.
Yeah, patty cake.
And it's like his journey, his like hero's journey. Pretty much, I can't really tell if his hero's journey or like for like his acceptance to like become the chosen one is before necessarily or because of Corso. Like I feel like it's getting there because Corso's kind of like, Corso's fucking face or heel turn, like bad guy turn, is so out. It feels so forced and out of fucking nowhere that it feels like they just needed to create more conflict to have there be more story.
I disagree in the how it started thing because he's a double agent, so it's like that's fine with me. But I don't like his then sudden turn back to good guy helping them. I don't like that.
There would have been more alluding, like some like foreshadowing or quick little hints to Corso.
That's fair.
Being like all of a sudden being like a double agent.
Like, oh, that's why he was doing that. Yeah, that's
because like even like at the very beginning when he's at the very beginning he's with Kale's father. Like he's one of the people that's with them, and he's so for the mission and everything. Like even if there was just like a little bit of like where he's hesitant, like, are we sure this is what we want to do? Something like that to show that, because you have this entire thing of like his entire relationship with Kale up to this like betrayal point has been like this surrogate father figure that feels genuine.
Well, then it's also just
is set up to be genuine.
Well, yeah, and then it's also just from a writing standpoint too. It's like he's this double agent and he just decides to call the queen of the dredge in his room on a hollow screen. Yelling at her. You're like, are you supposed to be like incognito with all this shit? Like, because not only that, it's like the only one that knows about it is Preed.
Because they're working together.
Yeah, so that means so they're together, so two of them, but there are 4 other people on this crew that don't know about this.
And then fucking Preed is like, and now I'm turning on you, Corso.
Yeah.
And I was like, what is this?
But even then,
M. Night Shyamalan write this? What are the twists?
But even that, like, too, then fucking Corso straight up breaks his neck and throws him down some stairs. You're like, and he's all...
And it's like, oh, and this is a kid's movie?
Yeah. And it's like, and you hear the snap, and he goes limp, and his tongue's hanging out, and he just throws his lifeless body down the stairs.
I think Corso and Kale now have to fight it out, because Corso still wants to kill the humans.
For whatever reason. That shook me, actually. I forgot about that scene when Preed dies, and I was like, damn, that was pretty brutal.
I feel like this script, it's just like this story has a lot of rushed moments and forced moments and open-ended stuff. Like,
I mean, I still like it though. It's still fun. It's a fun movie.
It's a fun adventure. Yeah,
and it's only like an hour and a half.
And I think that's why I like this, because like it's a fun adventure and it's got genuinely funny moments in it.
Yeah,
and this like
I love the soundtrack.
The soundtrack's pretty dope.
It's so 2000.
The fucking bird people.
That entire sequence is pretty cool.
When it's like putting up its hand to the moon and Kale's like what?
And it like screeches out at him.
And the other bird's like, dumb fuck. What am I doing?
Oh, he even like, huh? I also like, but that's the thing too that you were saying is I really loved the design of all these like humanoid extraterrestrial.
Yeah.
They were all really cool. Like even like, so those like vulture pterodactyl things.
A lot of them were very bird-like.
Yeah. And I think, well, I mean, even
Stith kind of had a beak. Preed kind of had a peak. The Gallux were birds.
Well, Preed kind of looked like a bat.
Oh yeah, I guess so. Yeah,
because he's also had the.
I just think it was like because it's got the long mouth.
Yeah, but he had
the webbing underneath.
Yeah, I think it was kind of like bat design.
Do you think those are just evolutions of fucking creatures from Earth?
Well, no, because theirs got destroyed. And then what's his name?
Goon.
He's like a turtle, little turtle guy. But even then, with like the vulture like creatures, the fact that they're like these monks and they're walking, they walk up and it looks like they're wearing these cloaks, but lo and behold, it's their wings. You know, it was just like, and that whole scene of them like dropping, grabbing. You
know what's fucking really crazy?
Huh?
In Beastmaster, there's characters almost exactly like those that look like they're gonna be like, I don't know. It's just, I don't know. I was watching. I'm like, Beastmaster? What's happening?
And I want to say, I finally kind of get what you're saying about Star Chaser now, because a lot of like, wait, where is it?
What do you mean?
Let me read this first. Titan A.E. is Star Wars pulped and mashed into flavorless kiddie corn. Unbashed Star Wars clone. Yeah, and it's like not, and I'm no, it's not. And I'm starting like seeing it now with Star Chaser. Like I get why people, but it's like, okay, then everything is anything sci-fi is going to be a ripoff of Star Wars in some way, shape, or form. You could argue that Harry Potter is a ripoff of Star Wars. You heard that stand-up joke where
did I record that last week, or did we just talk? Did I just talk? About
I think you brought it up last week.
Okay. Oh yeah, but I can't remember. Did I bring it up?
I think you did.
I don't know if I did. I think that may have been a rant after we were breaking down.
Oh, okay. But yeah, it's like...
Well, like this is also kind of like going even kind of a little bit farther back, how you were trying to defend about how fucking Still Crazy, people like comparing it to Spinal Tap. Mm-hmm. And you're like, that's unfair.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can kind of see it, but like I was agreeing. It was like, but I can see it because like it's the only thing that they can.
It's the only thing to grasp from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and that's kind of like what it is. Like as soon as you start having any kind of like sci-fi space opera story that is about some type of like young boy chosen to be like the savior, it's like immediately that's just what Star Wars comes from, and it's classic Greek mythology more than anything.
Well, yeah, because even like when Kelso's like, "I'll be in touch," he like spins his gun and puts it in his holster and he walks out of the spaceship. And you're like,
Solo.
Yeah, it's like it's if you really want to do that, you can, but it's not.
Preeta's Chewbacca.
Yeah. Akima is Layla.
Leela from Futurama.
Layla.
Kayla's Fry. Corso's Bender.
Is Futurama a ripoff of Star Wars? You can. Then that's actually a really good point. You can make it a ripoff of Star Wars if you want to.
Take my money.
Yeah. Like, if you want to sit there and argue with me about how it's a ripoff of Star Wars, you can make that argument, but it doesn't mean it's a good argument.
Yeah,
you know what
exactly.
I mean? But it's like, I don't know, like it's like there's enough in this movie for me to enjoy that I still really like it even as an adult. Obviously, there's a nostalgic thing, but
the dredge,
that's one of the biggest things for me.
The animation of the dredge is so jarring. They literally look like they were stamped in there.
Yeah, they like you were talking
by
about
like someone like I feel like there was a completely different design, and they were just like, how do we cover this up? Plop plop plop.
Oh, that's actually kind of interesting. Kind of going into what you're saying too. It might also be it's because they are the only actual characters that are computer generated.
Oh, and I just now figured out what they reminded me of is they reminded me of like the ghosts, electric spirits from Final Fantasy Spirits Within. Not like the actual like tentacle like angry monsters, but like
when they get like pulled out.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fair.
Oh, that was bothering me.
They're more like geometric.
Yeah.
And like you know like
and they also like look praying. I don't know. There's also another like. I don't know.
But you see what I'm saying though too? Yeah. Like one of the reasons that are so jarring is you kind of get used to. I got used to.
You can you settle in with it. But like that first time you see them when it's like in the fucking like the cafeteria
cantina,
hole, and you're just like.
Well, that's what I was gonna say though. Is like you get used to these set designs that are like a different animation style and the characters. Yeah. You're like, okay, this is the world, whatever.
Yeah.
But then the dreads show up and they are also computer generated.
Yeah.
It just and they're glowing and they're blue and they're making weird little screechy noises. They're just they're really fucking jarring. The first time.
We're getting close where we need to wrap up. I just have like one more thing that I wanted to bring up is. Because we were talking about how Drew Barrymore's performance was good and like felt grounded with what Akima's actions were doing, and like that's another thing that was just like, I feel like through most of this movie is just like what we're visually seeing from this animated standpoint and how the voice performance is delivered has a weird disconnect. Like it feels like sometimes they are just literally like sitting there reciting a line as opposed to like when Kale's like eating like in the cafeteria with his like caretaker
Tech.
And yeah, just it feels like that Matt Damon's just sitting there like having a regular conversation with somebody while Kale's like moving around and like clinking and stuff, and like the way that his mouth is moving is not in the same way that it's like as I talk like this and then I move my mouth up and with a different inflection, and it's like you feel like there was like I feel like how the characters were drawn in their performance had more of a color of sound. I'm trying to think a range of sound.
But like you said, that was like the Drew Barrymore. It felt like she was watching the animation and she changed her performance based off that.
And John,
just John. It's fine.
I practice it so many times,
and you fuck it up every time we're on here. I've given up on it.
Leguizamo.
But even then too, like something else that there are some other. I really liked some lines in this. Like when he's talking to, like he convinces Kale to like help with the mission, and he says, "If I don't like something, I'll show you how much I'm like my father I really am."
Oh yeah,
I'll leave.
Yeah,
and there's these little moments, even like Kelso, like when you find out why he's like, "We're circling the drain," his kind of like, I am broken. I've tried so hard to help humanity and nothing's helped. Like that's why he's kind of like, fuck it. Like,
yeah, it would have been cool to have a little more of like an explanation of that, as well.
Yeah, but I just mean there are actual just like certain lines that are just delivered that I liked a lot. But it's kind of like, you're kind of like, that was a cool line in a not so cool movie, but whatever, Yeah,
you see why I was like really struggling to say like how if I liked it and whatnot, because like I have a lot of qualms with it, but I think maybe just my affinity towards like sci-fi stuff like makes me just drawn towards it to where like I want to like it.
And it's an easily digestible, even with the qualms, it's an easy digestible sci-fi movie that you don't really need to get super invested in.
It's like I would love for there to be more of a explored out backstory, and this be like
there's
maybe
those prequels you could read.
There's like books or something, right?
Yeah, there's like I think graphic novels or something about their backstories.
Which that would be cool.
But that's one of those things too. It's like Disney, I feel like could take this and. Or I guess Fox, Disney, whatever. But it's also like,
honestly, sorry. Do you actually have like a full like?
I had this weird fantasy about connecting it to Star Wars.
Oh no, because honestly, I think what we got was Firefly.
You think that this was kind of like, you really think that this is like the building block that led to Firefly and Serenity?
I really do.
I've never watched Firefly. I've seen Serenity.
And Serenity is a completely different mood than Firefly.
Yeah. I didn't know.
Firefly has a lot more of like the Mandalorian feel to it, like space western.
On? Maybe I should check that out.
I think it was on Netflix for a long time. I don't know if it is anymore. You might. I don't know what it's on. Might be Hulu. Maybe.
I'll check it out.
But no, Firefly. Because like the whole thing with Firefly is that the world goes like the entire world, Earth, gets into a civil war. And like the browncoats, who are kind of like the rebels, they like that's what Nathan Fillion's character is. He was like one of their like fighter, and he's like now a smuggler and like all of this stuff. He fought as in the resistance. So like it isn't like a humans extinct, but there's like a broken like system of humanity. Not really much aliens in it as in Firefly, but like. The design of the ships, the design of like the worlds, how there's just even as like the semblance of like Asian community and people in it. Like in Firefly, people speak a mixture of generally all English, but English and Chinese have kind of fused together. There's a lot of just like random Chinese words that people use, and the whole idea is that China had become just as big of a cultural influence in the entire world, kind of like how the English and Western world was. Mm-hmm. So like, I feel like, I look at this and I see this interesting setup of like, oh, because like if this was being like built or being like written through like 1998, 1999 to 2000, released 2000, Firefly doesn't come out to 2002.
Oh, I didn't realize it was that old.
Yeah. So like there's little, and if Joss Whedon, writer, Ben Edlund, writer for Firefly, I'm literally looking at this and I'm like, huh. I feel like this is.
I guess I think what I have to do is watch Firefly and come back to you now with actual content of what you're talking about.
Fair,
because it's kind of just because I haven't watched it, it's kind of falling on deaf ears. Because even Serenity, I think I saw one time when it came out, just because it was a sci-fi movie.
Serenity is like, and you'll see why Serenity is actually a really weird departure from the show, because the Serenity is just very much a sci-fi action adventure. While I would honestly, like Firefly is a lot more of a character-driven space western drama.
It's on Hulu.
It is on Hulu. Mm-hmm. Cool. All right, we're at a little an hour, so we should probably wrap it up. What do you give it first? You give us your.
I mean, I want to give it a 3 because I still think it's like good, but it's like objectively probably like a 2.5, 2.75.
I'll settle on a 3, like 2.753, because because I did enjoy it. I mean, but yeah, objectively, yeah, it isn't. But that's the thing. It isn't the greatest.
No, it's just
good, generic.
It's a fine, because it's terrible, bad, fine, good, great.
Yeah.
It's a fine sci-fi. And again, I really want to reiterate too, it's only an hour and a half long.
Yeah.
And that's a huge factor because, I mean, but if it was longer, you might be able to do more writing and lore and whatever. But a lot we see, especially on doing reviews here, sometimes it's just longer to be longer. And you're like, what?
Yeah.
Like Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
We're like, why is this an hour and 48 minutes?
Yeah.
Like, what can still happen in this movie? Like,
and like, I will say there is just kind of like that, like for human connection thing, like the idea of finding a second Earth, a new home, when you feel like, humans are extinct, it's like, it makes us feel small. And then for there to be the terraforming of the new planet.
And this is a cool scene.
Yeah, that is a cool scene, but then them standing on that planet, they look like sword thumbs, like they just stick out from that entire fucking animation of the Earth.
And then you're also like...
Planet Bob.
That pissed me off so much. But like even then too, it's like, if you know how planets are formed, I'm not obviously not a scientist, but you're like, because I get it's sci-fi, but I'm like, I don't really get how this is working.
Right. I feel like that's definitely you got to eat the carrot type thing.
Yeah. Like, so is the ship destroyed, or is that like now the core of the planet? Is it just
like it's set off like it's like terraform.
And but then it's like spinning around. It's breaking all the ice to make water.
But then
I don't know.
You got to see the ship come out of all of that.
Oh yeah, I guess yeah.
And then so the ship then came down and landed on the planet for them,
so they could do the cloning process of all the animals.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you just? There was also an interesting point. I was sitting there thinking, I'm like, did they just they had to do some like deep research like for this planet to terraform to be like the same size as Earth to then have a star specific of our type of star to be close enough to where if you terraform it at the right time and the right time for it to then have a gravitational pull. Otherwise, you just have a planet floating through nowhere.
Yeah, and also
with
like
no heat source.
Well, and also like with the whole cloning of the animal thing, don't you think you like kind of pick and choose? You wouldn't like bring everything back, right? You like
fuck gooses.
Yeah, like, no, for real, like actual real talk. They're stupid and they're assholes. Like, do we need these? Like, do we need them? I think ducks will be fine.
Do you think that's that's Noah's Ark thing? Like he was like, "Fuck these unicorns, fuck these dragons."
I love that. I love that. I made myself laugh. Ducks are fine. Yeah. Fuck geese.
All right.
So to 275.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. What are we doing next week?
I think we're doing the Birdcage next week.
Is it Birdcage?
Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah.
We'll be doing Birdcage. For kind of doing like a Pride Month.
Yeah, we're gonna
kind
do
of thing.
Yeah, we're gonna go into some like a queer movies.
Yeah, LGBTQ plus stuff. Yeah, we have a whole lineup for the month too. So we're gonna be, and I'm really excited because some of these movies, like Birdcage is one of my favorites. Movie never makes me not laugh.
The movie's hilarious.
I didn't know John Wayne walked like that. Still gets me. I say movie 100 times, it still gets me. And then a couple others, like I know later on we're going to be doing But I'm a Cheerleader at some point, which is a kind of a little cult classic that I haven't seen.
I can't remember the other two, so we can just leave it at that.
Yeah.
We know those.
But yeah, so we're doing a whole Pride Month thing. So come listen to that this month. Like, subscribe, follow, tell your friends, leave a review, comment, and yeah, we'll be in touch and we'll see you next week.
Yeah.
This is Tommy.
This is Jacob.
This is Tommy and Jacob's Mixtape. I gotta pee really bad.
Run like the wind, Bullseye.